Hello, Theater 317. This is just a quick overview, sort of a reference document, because once we start taking Theater History Part 1 and studying it out of chronological order, things can get a little bit fuzzy in terms of what is where and when. So I've created this rudimentary timeline, which, as you'll see, starts at a little before 400 BCE on the top left, goes all the way through 1300, picks up on the bottom left at 1400, and I just chose a familiar date in American history, the Revolutionary War, kind of as the end game. So what we have on here right now are just some basic mileposts of what is largely Western society that we talk about, but we jump over to China and Japan as well. 0 is the ending of BCE. That stands now for Before Common Era. That used to stand for, or in some areas still does, Before Christ. And that also then begins CE for Common Era, or AD Anno Domini, which is the year of our Lord. So those are the two ways. Again, the BC and AD are sort of more older traditional ways of saying it. Historians now say BCE or CE. So that's one milestone. We're going to talk about the Dark Ages in Europe. As related to some of the plays we're going to read. There's the medieval era, which starts roughly 1200. There's the plague, which kills a lot of people. Medieval era continues through, I don't know, early 1500s. And you'll notice the Renaissance, which starts in Italy, definitely overlaps the medieval era. I think that's worth noting because, and I'll talk about this, eras don't necessarily end on a given year. Nobody comes out and sticks a sign in the ground that says, all right, now the medieval era is over and the Renaissance begins. It depends on where you're talking about and what aspects of medievalism or Renaissance culture you're talking about. And then we kind of cruise on through, and then Revolutionary War, 1776. So what I'm going to do is fill in the plays in the order we're reading them this semester and kind of understand how they fit in there. We start with Every Man in the Apple Tree. So this is towards the end of the medieval era, but heavily influenced by all things medieval, right? Late 14, early 1500s. And those plays are Dutch in particular, but they influence a lot of generally European culture. Then we jump ahead to Life's a Dream in Spain, 1635. And so we are moving out of Central Europe and into Southwestern Europe for Spain, Life's a Dream. After that, we jump all the way across the globe to Japan and read the No play Komachi at Sekidera, which is in the early 1400s. And so, again, I just think it's interesting to line up like Komachi was happening roughly the same time as Every Man in the Apple Tree. I mean, 100 years, give or take, in this long time frame isn't a whole lot. Then we're going to jump back to ancient Greece up there in the upper left-hand corner and read a play called the Bacchae, 403 BCE, which is the golden age of theater in Greece, late 500s, early 400s. I also want to mention we're not reading anything this semester from ancient Rome, but ancient Rome overlaps ancient Greece and lasts for a really long time. So it's worth mentioning, just putting the Romans in there. Okay, down at the bottom in the middle, we are going to, after we go to ancient Greece, we're going to jump to Othello in England. And obviously that's Shakespeare's heyday. Upper right-hand corner, we're going to jump back to the other side of the globe for a Chinese play called Autumn at the Palace at Han, written around 1320. Yes, I know there's no parentheses on the other side of China. That's going to bother me, but I'm not canceling the whole video lecture just to go back and fix that. Probably. No, I'm not doing it. Okay. So that takes us to China. And then after we consider Autumn at the Palace at Han, we're going to come back to Europe and England in particular and finish with two English plays that are similar but very different. The Rover in 1677 comes out of the Restoration era of England. And then She Stoops to Conquer, 1773, comes out of 18th century England, which is a very different tone than the Restoration. And again, I just think it's interesting to look at the Revolutionary War and She Stoops to Conquer happening at very similar times of history. So hopefully this perspective helps a little bit to kind of see how everything relates, what's close to one another, what's far apart from one another, how it all kind of fits together. So that's your timeline. I will never, in the history of this class, quiz you on a specific date. I won't quiz you on a specific, did Othello come before Life's a Dream? I'm less interested in that. in that and more interested in things like, did Othello and Life's a Dream come after or before the medieval era? Because that's really important, right? Or where does the Renaissance fit in? So the relationship of things is way more important to me than is specific dates. All right, there's your timeline. Thanks, everybody.